Okay, this is Steve coming to you from Shoal Shoal up on the little island in the parking lot. This is a video about the beginning of boot camp here on Puget Sound. It's going to be on the lakes, Lake Washington, Lake Union, Salmon Bay. It's going to be on the sound itself, off of Golden Gardens, probably Port Townsend, off of Blake Island, Sinclair Inlet, South Sound, eventually Anacortes, several locations, but it's going to start on the lakes as well as Blake Island and off of Shoal Shoal Bay. Really easy to reach places from all over the greater Seattle area as well as the Olympic Peninsula, and you'll even be able to come up from Tacoma and hit Blake Island pretty quickly because we'll have a little ferry service or launch service to bring you from Manchester waterfront out to Blake, where we'll have activities. And we're going to teach social media marketing and how to do better in whatever business you're in. This is not specific to any one type of business. It doesn't matter whether you're in the brick and mortar world or the online world. It doesn't matter if you're selling digital products that you don't have to pay money to make another one of, or whether you're selling someone else's digital products or someone else's physical products, like an affiliate on Amazon or a joint venture marketer where you sell your friends and they turn around and sell yours. It doesn't matter if you're building a restaurant business or you're in the trash business or you're doing consulting or you're a network marketer who operates largely locally, or you cut hair for a living. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You can make more money if you have a presence on the internet, if you have a social media presence, if you know how to get more business with the internet, and especially if you have products that can be sold outside of town, outside of the state, outside of your country, off the continent, in a different hemisphere. Well, then you really need the internet, and you need to know what the modern technology is that allows you to get new clients or new customers in Eastern Europe or in South Africa or in Australia or Singapore. You need that ability in order to thrive today in a increasingly competitive marketplace, where if you're competing against people who are in a tiny radius of 10 miles around your store and that's all you sell to, well, you're in a lot of trouble. You really need to think about diversifying into something that can be sold in 24 time zones. If you do the math, if you think about it carefully, you really don't want to be dependent upon when people are awake, when it's a weekday, or when it's a weekend if you're in a weekend leisure business. You want to be making money every single hour of every single 24-hour segment of every single day of every single week of every single month, and not be dependent upon, I didn't make any money today because it was a holiday in my country. I didn't make any money because we do this religious thing, or we do this thing on one day of the week, or we aren't up at night buying things. You want to be independent of all that, and you need a 24-hour, 180 country, 24 time zone, location independent business model in order to accomplish that. And that doesn't mean you have to replace the one you have. It just means you have to add another one. And anyone who tells you you should focus, should only do one thing, should never have more than one job, never have more than one business niche, one business department, one business segment, because that lacks focus. Well, either they have an agenda or they're an idiot. You need diversity. You should not have your financial eggs in one basket. We've all heard that. We grew up hearing that, reading it ad nauseum, and then we don't do it. Most of our money comes from a day job or a single profession or a single business niche, and we're taught to focus so that we don't disrupt somebody else who's operating in 18 niches, somebody who has a department store. Think about it. How much money would J.C. Penney's make if it had one department? How big do you think Walmart would be if all they sold was fishing tackle? Just think about it for a minute. They don't play by those rules. Why are you? This framework allows you not to play by those silly rules of focusing on a single activity. That's absurd in today's very highly uber competitive marketplace. And the framework you're considering with our Blue Ocean Tribe approach to a physical and digital, both a physical and digital recruiting marketing framework, is one in which we don't, I repeat, don't focus on one source of revenue. We focus on multiple sources. Preferably, and this is going to sound funny to people, double figures of sources. That means 10 or more sources. So if one goes bye-bye, you have 9 or more others to fall back on. Doesn't that make sense? How many departments are there in Walmart or in Sears or in your local everything you need but the kitchen sink food store that has everything else on the side, including lumber and fish eggs? Just think about it. The most successful businesses cater to a lot of needs and a lot of niches and have a lot of sources of income. So if it's not fishing season, so what? You're selling diapers now. Or if people aren't eating as much because they're, I don't know, doing too many drugs or not doing enough drugs, getting the munchies, well, you sell them something else. You need to have lots of different ways to make a living today, and most people have one, themselves, their time traded for a few shekels with a pathetic raise at the end of the year and decreasing benefits and more and more and more competition from outside of the first world, where land costs nothing and there's no regulations and people are even locked up at night and there's no labor law to speak of, and people work for pennies on the dollar where you have to pay for the same skill in the first world. So that's the discussion about having a framework that embeds lots of different ways of making money so that you are diverse. Don't have all your eggs in one basket like most people do.